Greetings once again, my friends, and happy Thursday, and welcome back to the Fire Cavern. As you know, the boys often choke on this test when I come with them. I guess my charm makes them nervous. Whatever, okay? I'm just kidding, trying to keep you relaxed, that's all. Welcome back to the Fire Cavern, which is going to be a test for Squall. Before he can do his seed exam, he has to face what's in the Fire Cavern, which is actually going to be acquiring his first ever GF or Guardian Force. Guardian Force, since I wasn't able to explain that much last episode, Guardian Forces are basically the summons of this game. They're not just that. Guardian Forces play a lot into the mechanics of Final Fantasy VIII, obviously, because you guys saw the Junctioning tutorial. So they play a much bigger role than that, but they are technically the summons that you're used to in Final Fantasy games in battle. And if we're going to the Fire Cavern, then I think it's fairly obvious which one we're picking up. Now, you can find draw points throughout the world, and if you didn't actually go out and do the random encounters, or if the Sparrow's rare enough, you're going to find draw points. And if you're playing this game for the first time, I recommend that you do that. Use the draw points as much as possible. If you actually go out and stockpile all the spells you need, well, then that works in your favor. So at that point, it's just a draw point you miss because you already have the spell. But check the draw points every time. Just make sure that it's not a spell that's fairly rare in the game. Now, people are usually used to the fact that I do run away from battle during kind of these story Let's Play parts, but there's actually a mechanical reason that you want to do that in this game. The main reason being is that, like I said last time, this game has a very kooky leveling system. And that is, whatever your level is, well, the monsters that you face are going to be roughly around that level too. So you want to be careful about that. I guess I was right. You and Cypher are in a class of your own. You both have amazing strength and potential. Well, thanks, Teach. We really appreciate that. So what's in here? Okay, this is it. Are you ready? Yeah. You seem confident enough. Well, that's a lot of show. Oh, hi. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and apologize in advance if this looks a little weird and a little blurry. I'm not sure why, but since I am playing this on the PS3 app of the game, I had this problem in the dry run of the game too, and I've heard a lot of other people having this issue with this fight as well. It gets blurry for some reason. I'm not necessarily sure why, but we are up against Ifrit, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the best design Ifrit has had in games. I know that's a lot to take in, or I know that's going to piss off a lot of people, but I really do like the look of Ifrit in this game, as opposed to his look in, say, Final Fantasy VII. Not to say that they're bad, I feel like this look actually feels a lot more demonic than what we've gotten in the past. Now, obviously, I'm using Shiva to kind of counteract him. It's pretty much the best damage I'm going to do. They have Shiva? Oh, no. Thankfully, he's not too hard. He's basically your tutorial Guardian Force. Trust me, you will be going up against harder. In fact, one of the hardest ones will be much, much, much later in the game and is technically my faves, as I always love when the Dragon King Bahamut makes the scene. Impudent humans. Well, he ain't messing around anymore. Yes, Bahamut is in this game. Bahamut is pretty much in all the games, so just get used to that. But again, that's actually another one that is my favorite version of Bahamut. Not bad for a human. Diamond Dust. Can Shiva do it? Now, another thing that this game is known for, and I'll just go ahead and point it out now, is this is the game that's known for the summon cinematics that you can basically go and take a pee break for. Shiva's not one of them, but you guys will see the point once we get a lot of the later ones. They are pretty long. Even I'll admit that it's. I used to make the joke with my friends. They're the summon animations that you could go and make a sandwich in. Which I always got in trouble with one of my friends. He's like, I tried it. You can't do that. Okay, well, you can make a really fast sandwich. There you go. I think you took it too literally there, buddy. Oh. He should be pretty low. Smack. Oh, that hurt. Now, another thing that's really cool is limit breaks do return in Final Fantasy VIII. When you get very low on health, however, that's when they show up. So it's not like you have a separate limit gauge like you did in Final Fantasy VII. You have to meet these conditions of like really low health to be able to get it. And it's one of those flirting with death kind of concepts. It's almost worth it once you get later on in the game, but early on, not so much. Come on, we can get this done. And all you have to do to just kind of trigger it is just keep constantly switching between the menus.
For me to lose to a human, very well, I will join you.
Yes, yes you will. And you will like it, sir. Because I brought you a cupcake. And by cupcake, I mean Pokeball. So here is Ifrit. Now we have a third GF to work with. There isn't much time, but let me go over this real quick. Good, you got yourself a GF. If you junction that GF, you'll be able to use the Elemental Junction ability. Here's an explanation on the elements. And you guys don't have to worry about that because... There's a lot of fire elemental monsters here, so junction Blizzard to your element attack. You'll have an easier time with fire elemental enemies. I know I didn't do that for the first one, but I wanted to showcase to you guys that it is kind of tutorial hell at the beginning of the game. But I'm not going to subject you to another one, so don't worry too much about that. Just get used to the speed segments as we get through all of the freaking tutorials. And we'll just do a quick cure on Squall. Now, you want to be very sparing about that, because if you junction spells to stats and you use a spell, it takes a while to be able to do it. Like, I'm not saying it happens with every spell you use, but every 2 or 3, you're going to start seeing those stats start to lower. So you want to make sure you're okay, or that you're careful with it. Especially with things like elemental junctions, and even, as you guys will find out later, status junctions, that if you continue to use them, then your percentage of it landing gets worse and worse. So you want to make sure you avoid that. Like I was saying before, so the leveling system, like, you're going to want to escape a lot. And in fact, you will want to use another asset later on. Technically, Quetzalcoatl gets it, and I'm trying to teach it to him right now, is card. What you basically can do is you can turn enemies into cards. Because this was one of the first games of 2 to implement a side quest card game, and this one was called Triple Triad. And so technically, if you want to be able to get really good and you don't want to do a lot of grinding, the other option is you can learn Triple Triad, and maybe you're more akin to it, and be able to get kind of the same result as somebody who would grind stuff out. But the reason I bring up card is because even the grinders can use the cards. Basically, you get a command in the menu to turn enemies into cards. Once you do that, they enter into your inventory. And there's also an additional ability that Quetzalcoatl can use called Card Mod, which allows for you to take those cards and turn them into items. So it's able to be utilized not just by the Triple Triad people, but also by grinders, you know, just so that you don't have tons and tons of inventory grinding out various beasts. So it's actually very helpful as long as you know how to game the system. But that was kind of the problem at the very beginning, where a lot of people didn't know how to game the system. You know, as much as I said that people could game the system in Final Fantasy II, it took them a while for them to realize that they could. Same thing happened with 8, and I think that actually kind of fueled a lot of the hatred towards it. I think another thing that fueled a lot of the online hatred for it was a lot of the ragging videos that happen, specifically like the spooning experiment ragging on Final Fantasy VIII probably didn't help 8 that much. But it's one of those things that I'm actually kind of happy it has a niche following now. There are things I don't like about Final Fantasy VIII. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of Final Fantasy fans who could say that too. But it's not like it's a bad game. I mean, its gameplay has some questionable issues, but it still has a good story. This is one of those things that I always get into arguments with fellow Final Fantasy fans, is that sometimes the story of the game is probably the best thing out of the game, even when it's mired down in bad mechanics. Final Fantasy 13 is another good example of that. 8 is probably the best example of it, where 8 actually did have an interesting story that tried to take a couple of new turns. All right, now that we're back at Balam Garden, well done. Let's see. I thought there was something else I needed to go over with you before you take the seed exam. Oh yes, taking care of your GF. This is what something you have to watch out for. But you guys don't have to, because here we go again! Don't worry about that on this Let's Play. Now change into your uniform and assemble at the first floor lobby. I'm not going to keep the tutorials in there, but if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them as best as I can. I've learned my lesson with Final Fantasy VIII. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect at it, so I'll answer as best as I can, and if I can't, well, I'll point you to the resources that will. But like I said with 8, I'm kind of glad now that it has a niche following. I mean, it was technically the second Final Fantasy after 7 to go to the PC. And it frankly did fairly well there from what I understand. So I'm glad that it actually did well there. I do understand that the issue that a lot of people have with the Switch, where they would love to see 8 brought over. And I think the only reason that that hasn't happened is, you know, where 7 got modded and 9 got modded, Final Fantasy 8 hasn't received such treatment. It doesn't mean that it's excluded. I haven't seen any statements from Square Enix saying that they're working on it. But it doesn't mean that it's excluded. I'm pretty sure if there's enough of a demand, they'll come and work on it. So for those who are hoping for that, I hope you get that too. It's kind of funny now, because when I originally started this Let's Play series, The Legacy of Final Fantasy, I thought that when I was going to get to 8, I'd be ragging on it a lot. But one of the things that's really cool is that I met some of the members of my own community on the channel, as well as some people outside of the community, and learned of the niche following within Final Fantasy VIII. And when I started doing the dry run for Final Fantasy VIII, I don't want to say it completely influenced things, but it definitely made me want to take a second look at some of the perks that Final Fantasy VIII tried to provide. And did provide a good number of things. Its story is probably one of the better elements out of it. They tried to do a slice of life Final Fantasy. I mean, for crying out loud, my buddy Alex the Shadow Blazer will appreciate that. It's a slice of life Final Fantasy game with its own unique twist. I mean, you could probably call this Final Fantasy Academia, but I'm glad that it had that. The story is actually fairly good, considering that this was the first Final Fantasy game. Although there were romances in previous games, they weren't necessarily the focus in the story. Like Cecil and Rosa weren't the focus. The focus was the plot that was going on. 7 didn't really focus on a romance story because they had 2 really awesome female protagonists, one that I personally hate, but they also had Tifa, so I'm willing to forgive it. But this one was entirely a love story. This one was entirely a romantic Final Fantasy game, so I'll at least give it that credit. It pulled that aspect off. I'm not saying it's romantic comedy levels, but at least it has a compelling story tied around a love story. And it works. It strangely works. I can understand why the niche audience loves it. All right, so now that we're back in our room, it's time for us to get changed into our seed candidate uniform. This is kind of the usual uniform that Garden members would be wearing. And so we have to be in our formal dress. We can't go around in our really weird coat. It's one of those things where I'll give a compliment to Kingdom Hearts. They found a way to make Squall's outfit look better. I've never been a fan of Squall's overall outfit. Yeah, come at me, bro. I don't care. I've never been a fan of it. Especially considering that he was supposed to be kind of the Cloud Strife of this series, or of this game, and it just doesn't have the same kind of look and feel of badassery that Squall's soldier outfit did. Or, wow, Squall's soldier outfit. Cloud's soldier outfit. Dang it. I'm just having one of those days today. Everything is just all topsy-turvy. It's been one of those long days. So let's go ahead and report to Kistis. If I'm saying her name wrong, I'm sorry. That's how I've said it since I've played for the first time. Quistis does not sound right to me. Kistis, however, does. So let's go ahead and make our way to the lobby. And Kistis has also changed. You'll notice that her uniform's different. Squall, over here. I'll be announcing the squad assignments for the exam now. Let's see. You'll be with Zell. Quite a lively fellow. Lively? He's just loud. Can I switch members? I'm afraid that's not possible. Over here, Zell. And of course, we have to do tons of cutscenes, because those were the things that were loved by Final Fantasy VII. Mentos, the Freshmaker. I always want to make that joke with Zell's intro. It's always dumb. Dumb and funny. Whoa! I'm with you? Well, there's Squall's personality for you. Zell's limit break settings can also be changed, so his limit works differently than Squall's. I'll go over this as we go along, but he actually has the dual option for his limits, unlike Squall, who has Renzakuken, based around his gunblade. And actually, he has a unique way of being able to get new limits. He's one of the two that if you go and get magazines throughout the world, you can increase the limits that he can do during his dual mode. You don't get along with Cypher, do you? Heard he whooped you pretty bad this morning. We weren't fighting. We were training. I bet you he doesn't think so. Look, Cypher's just being a pain in the ass. All you have to do is ignore him. It's none of your business. Excuse me, but that Cypher you're talking about, he's your squad leader. Oops. Say what? It can't be changed. Cypher, are you here? Hey, look, he's got a posse. That's cute.
Fusion and Raishin tagging along as usual. Guess that makes up the whole disciplinary committee.
You're the squad leader. Good luck to you.
Instructor. I hate it when people wish me luck. Save those words for a bad student that needs them, eh?
Okay, then. Good luck, Cypher.
I love that bounce back. Add instructor treat to the list. List? What's that?
Well then, you're all assigned to Squad B. I'll be the instructor in charge. Teamwork is of the utmost importance. Let's get through this exam, everyone. Listen up.
Listen up. Teamwork means staying out of my way. It's a Squad B rule. Don't forget it.
Everyone here? And here's our obligatory Sid! However, he's not quite an engineer. Not this time. He's instead a headmaster. It's been a while, everyone. How's everyone doing? This exam will involve 12 members from squads A through D.
He's also Robin Williams!
You'll be proceeding to a real battlefield. Obviously, the battles are for real. Life and death, victory and defeat, honor and disgrace. Each of these go hand in hand. There's only one way or the other. Nanu. How about it? Are you still up for it? Nanu. Seriously, the model looks like Robin Williams. You will be accompanied by 9 seed members. Should you fail, these members shall get the job done. They always do. Why, that's one less worry on your mind. The pride of Balam Garden, the elite mercenary force, Seed. Learn from them, obey their commands, and accomplish the mission. Prove yourself worthy of becoming a member of Seed. He likes doing that. Best of luck. Seriously, I think the episode title is going to be Headmaster Robin Williams? Cypher, man, a few words. That's okay, we kind of are too. But let's go ahead and talk to the headmaster. Let's get a move on. Move over to him. We've yet to have a gunblade specialist in Seed. That is why I'm hoping you and Cypher will join us in Seed. And without further ado, it's time for us to get to our Seed exam. How will this go? Will Squall pass or survive? I guess you'll find out next time.